A 54-year-old endurance athlete was told that her hip pain was degenerative, irreversible, and would only get worse. She saw the x-rays, she saw the bone changes on those x-rays herself, and surgery was on the table. 10 weeks later, she was planning a 3-week-long trekking trip because things were feeling so much better. This is the message she sent me. Her name's Allison, she lives in Australia, and she didn't send me a testimonial, she sent me a chapter of her life. She sent me over 5,000 words detailing her story, and I'm gonna boil this down into just a 10-minute video instead of the 1 hour it probably should be. So first she wrote, I have jogged at least 30 minutes a day since I was about 15 years old. Every day. She also did marathons, mountaineering, rock climbing, endurance events, long bushwalks, cycling, and swimming. Later in her life, she added weights and high-intensity interval training because she wanted to improve her bone density. So we're not talking about a sedentary person here. We're talking about somebody who is super active. And quick pause before we go further. I'm not a doctor. I'm not your doctor. I'm not diagnosing you. I'm not treating anybody for medical issues. I'm definitely not performing surgery through YouTube. I'm a guy on the internet who is extremely obsessed with muscles and how muscles work and how they help us feel better when we train them the right way. Everything here is general education, and if you have questions about how this applies to you, talk with a professional, talk with a doctor, talk with a trainer, talk with somebody who can actually see you and help you devise a personalized plan. And also, don't be afraid of exercise, because avoiding exercise altogether leads to atrophy, and atrophy aches. All right, back to Allison. So Allison was very active, but here's the part that often gets overlooked. She was also sitting a lot for decades. Office work, law school, years studying 12 hours a day. Like most people, she assumed that the exercise and activity canceled that all out. But there were early warning signs. For 10 to 15 years, she felt tightness in her left hip, but she just ignored it. In her words, she said, I thought that was just the price of admission. So if you're an active athlete, you often start thinking that discomfort is just normal. To some extent, it might be the soreness from constantly training and exerting yourself, but constant discomfort can also be a warning signal that should not be ignored. So about a year before she sent me this message, she said that the tightness changed. She started getting a constant ache in the glute, sharp pain in the front of the hip, and then sleep disruption. Her reaction, I thought, well, this is probably just what happens when you get old. She went to a physiotherapist who did some muscle release techniques on her, which felt great for a day or two. And she did that for 6 months. And when she asked the physiotherapist what she could do on her own because she wanted to take control and do some exercises to build her body, there were no exercises, no plan. Then she did a 4-week cycling trip, and she actually experienced no pain while she was cycling. She came home, she jumped straight back into hard gym training, and within weeks, she says, I got severe pain in the left groin. Good times. I couldn't walk without limping for 3 to 4 weeks. 9 out of 10 pain. So, of course, I thought my life was over. So she saw another physio, talked to doctors, and was told basically, you know what? You've got hip osteoarthritis. It's degenerative, bone on bone, and pain is only going to get worse. So she asked about her future, and the answer was, you'll have to learn how to manage it. X-rays showed hip impingement, which was a little growth here that doctors will often say results in an impossible situation. You cannot possibly improve the range of motion because of a tiny little bone growth. They said there was no hope of proper hip motion. So surgery entered the conversation. She booked a surgeon's appointment and couldn't get in for a couple months. And while waiting, she researched the outcomes of surgery for hip impingement, and she wasn't too pleased. Then she found one of my videos and an interview with someone who had had hip surgery and ended up worse. She thought, well, that was enough for me. And then she says, I canceled the appointment with the surgeon and bought the Healthy Hips program, which is the program that I've made, which is why she sent me this whole story. She did also try some other things like HRT, hormone replacement therapy. That didn't make her feel so good. She tried Tylenol, ibuprofen. Those didn't really work. She did a bunch of trigger point massage and foam rolling, and those kind of helped. And one of the physios told her that elite endurance runners often have to do like an hour of foam rolling just to stay like not in pain all the time. And she thought, well, maybe that'll work, but that didn't really work either. She also looked into dietary factors, but there wasn't a lot to be gained because she was already eating well and healthy. She did switch off of decaf coffee, but that didn't really have much of an effect besides saving her some money on tea, which tends to be cheaper than coffee. And she and I both agree that if your diet is bad, it's something you should pay attention to because it can actually make your body feel worse. So here's what she did. She committed fully. She did 3 strength sessions a week. She did stretch sessions every morning and night. She stopped jogging, which I'm sure was a very difficult thing for her to do mentally. Instead, she started doing barefoot walking in all directions, meaning forward, backwards, sideways on different kinds of terrain. She started swimming, she started doing more light cycling, and she started doing more bushwalking. I think she said weekly bushwalking, which for those of us who aren't in Australia, I think means walking around in the wilderness. Or it could mean walking on top of bushes, but I'm pretty sure that's not right. After 10 weeks of changing her life and changing her activities and retraining her hips, she wrote, in October, I was convinced I would need to cancel my trip. Now I'm planning a 3-week trekking trip in New Zealand, meaning her hips feel a whole lot better. After about 10 weeks, she was noticing that my pain is now 0 to half out of 10. I have no pain at night sleeping. I wouldn't even call what I feel now pain. It's more like tightness or a signal that I need to keep developing particular muscles. And that is huge. To go from 9 out of 10 to I feel tight and I need to keep doing stuff to get my hips more flexible and strong and resilient, that's a huge improvement. And I'm so happy to read this, and I'm so glad that Allison shared this. And near the end, she wrote some words that really hit hard. She says, what surprises me is that now I am out of pain and I have learned everything that I have learned from Matt's podcast videos and doing the Healthy Hips program is that no one was able to tell me these things before this point in time. How did I get to the age of 54 without knowing any of these things? How did no doctor, physio, etc. over the years not point me in this direction? Essentially, before I came across Upright Health, I didn't know that I had inner thighs or outer thighs, hip flexors, etc., and that I had to strengthen them specifically. People had vaguely told me over the years that I had strong quads and a weak left glute, but no one was ever able to tell me what to do about it. So this is really important because if you aren't actively investigating and getting to know your body and understanding what muscles need attention, and if you aren't giving muscles the attention that they need, you don't get better. Things feel terrible. And so here she says, having done the Healthy Hips exercises for 10 weeks and discovering the stretching, especially the contractions, which I never really understood how to do, I can't believe how simple it has been to fix my problem. I really thought the pain was something I had to live with because that's what osteoarthritis is, living with the pain. Now, obviously, she's proven that you can get better. She did it in 10 weeks, which I will say, not everyone is going to get better in 10 weeks. It depends on where you're starting from. It depends on how much you listen to your body. It depends on how you adjust your life and your habits. Allison actually made some big changes and really engaged with the content and really worked on making sure her body was learning to move more naturally again and got out of the patterns that were hurting her. And that's really, really important. And finally, this last little bit is hugely important and inspirational. It has surprised me that what was really the first health crisis of my life has turned out to be the best thing that has ever happened to me. I thought I couldn't live without my 30 minutes of jogging and the runner's high. Now, however, I have discovered a much greater richness of movement and body functionality. and I still feel great. Allison, I want to say a huge thank you to you for sharing this very long story with me. I wish that I could share the whole thing with everybody. I hope that I've done it some justice. If Allison's story resonates with you, it sounds familiar, and you are ready to take a step in the right direction for your own hips, I encourage you to check out the Healthy Hips program. It's the same structured program that Allison used to retrain and rebuild the strength, flexibility, and control of her hips. If you want to check it out, it's linked down below and also in the description box. And you can also go directly to uprighthealth.com/HH. You can also use this video to get started on your journey towards healthier hips, and YouTube thinks this will be really helpful for you too. I'm Matt Hsu from Upright Health, reminding you that pain sucks, life shouldn't.